Hi everyone, I am AKSRajveer, top educator on Unacademy for NTA UGC NET English. So dear friends, what we are going to discuss in today's class. So I would like to tell you that in today's class we are going to discuss what the critic has already said about William Shakespeare in their works. Because William Shakespeare, crown of English dramatist, as one of the famous personality, and in your exam you always find a question on William Shakespeare. So in today's class I am going to discuss with you all these critics on William Shakespeare, like Tylor Coleridge and Ben Jonson, Samuel Johnson, T.S. Eliot, Sigmund Freud, what they have said for William Shakespeare. So in today's class we are going to discuss these all critics. And dear friends, I would like to inform you, you can join these 3 upcoming classes. These classes I am going to take on 24th of November, 26th of November and 27th of November. And these all classes are going to cover your entire syllabus of UGC NET English. So don't forget to join these classes, and if you want to register, so please click on the link that is given in description. So dear friends, now we are going to start this class. So dear friends, as I have already told you that we are going to discuss all important critic and their quotes. Yeah, their quotes about William Shakespeare, because William Shakespeare is one of the prominent figure in English literature. So dear friends, now we are going to discuss one by one in detail what they has quoted for William Shakespeare, what is the view of the several critics about William Shakespeare. So first of all, I am going to show you, this one is Robert Greene. So dear friends, the journey of William Shakespeare for being famous in English literature, it starts from Robert Greene. And Robert Greene was the person who said, an upstart crow, you can see on your screen, upstart crow beautified with our feathers. What he said? He said, an upstart crow beautified with our feathers, that with his tiger's heart wrapped in a player's hide, suppose he is as well able to bombast. So Robert Greene's this statement was so important that this statement make William Shakespeare famous all over the world. Or you can say at that time this criticism was become so positive that all the people was curious to see who is Shakespeare. So this is really important. And then you can see Ben Jonson. What Ben Jonson says about William Shakespeare, he says, sweet son of Avon. Avon is the place where he was born, or William Shakespeare was born. So sweet son of Avon. And then you can say, he was not of an age but for all time. He was not of an age but for all time. And then you can also see, thou hadst small Latin and less Greek. These are the quoted word by Ben Jonson. And then you can also see, my Shakespeare, rise, I will not lose thee by Chaucer or Spenser, or bid Beaumont lie a little further to make thee a room. So these are most important or quoted line about William Shakespeare by Ben Jonson. And then last one you can say, a quibble is to Shakespeare what luminous vapors are to the traveler. He follows it all adventures. It is sure to lend him out of his way and sure to engulf him in mire. So these are the important quoted line for William Shakespeare. This one is by Robert Greene, and these all five quoted lines are by Ben Jonson. Now we are proceeding to the next one slide. You can see this is John Dryden. What Dryden says about William Shakespeare. So he said he was the man who of all modern and perhaps ancient poets had the largest and most comprehensive soul. What he says, he was the man who of all modern and perhaps modern and ancient poets had the largest and most comprehensive soul. This is the statement by John Dryden. And now you can see the next one, but Shakespeare's magic could not copied be. Within that circle none durst walk but he. So this is another statement by Dryden for William Shakespeare. And then you can see the next one. He was naturally learned. He needed not the spectacles of book to read nature. He looked inwards and found her there. So about Shakespeare's talent, John Dryden is so praising. You can say he is praising much and much. So you can see in these words his Shakespeare's praise. Yeah. Another important quote for William Shakespeare by John Dryden occurs in Essay on Dramatic Poetry. What he says in this work, he said Shakespeare was the Homer or father of our dramatic poets. Johnson was the Virgil, the pattern of elaborate writing. I admire him, but I love Shakespeare. So dear friends, please note down it. I have not included in my slide, but I would like to tell you, in Essay on Dramatic Poetry, John Dryden says, I admire him. And who is him? Him is Johnson, Ben Jonson, but I love Shakespeare. And he has also compared Shakespeare to Homer in Essay of Dramatic Poetry. And now we are proceeding to the next one slide. You can see what Goethe says about William Shakespeare. Writing on literature in this work, Goethe says, much has been said about Shakespeare. Much has been said about Shakespeare that does not seem anything left to say. बहुत कुछ कहा विलियम शेक्सपियर ने और शायद कुछ भी नहीं बचा. But the spirit has feature to stimulate the spirit forever. But जो spirit है, जो entire desire है, that impels us to say something about that personality. And then you can say what Sigmund Freud says about William Shakespeare. So he says, incidentally, in this meantime, I stopped to believe that the author of Shakespeare's work were the man of Stratford. This is one of the most quoted line about William Shakespeare, Sigmund Freud says. So Sigmund Freud what says? I stopped to believe that the author of Shakespeare's work were the man of Stratford. And then you can say what Alexander says. Now we are going to see what Alexander says about William Shakespeare. So he says his characters are so much nature herself that it is a sort of injury to call them by so distant a name as copies of her. Preface to Pope's edition of Shakespeare's work. In this work he says that his character are so much natural कि अगर उन्हें कहा जाए कि वो नेचुरल हैं तो ये कहना एक तरीके से नेचर को हार्म पहुंचाना होगा, बिकॉज दे आर ऑलरेडी नेचुरल. एंड देन नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू शो यू समथिंग एल्स. सो दिस इज S.T. Coleridge. What S.T. Coleridge says? So S.T. Coleridge says or marine-minded Shakespeare? What he says, or marine-minded Shakespeare? For William Shakespeare, he said. So now we are proceeding to the next one slide. You can see Thomas de Quincey, one of the important critic on William Shakespeare, in his work on the knocking at the gate in Macbeth that appeared in 1823. And in this work, what de Quincey says about William Shakespeare? So he says, "O mighty poet, thy works are not as those of other men, simply and merely great works of art." यानी कि आपके जो वर्क हैं वो केवल एक सिंपली वर्क ऑफ आर्ट नहीं है, बट आर ऑल्सो लाइक द फिनोमेना ऑफ नेचर. दीज ऑल वर्क्स आर लाइक naturally constructed like the sun and the sea. These characters are as natural as the sun, as the sea, and then you can see the stars and the flowers. These are as natural, like frost and snow, rain and dew, hailstorm and thunder, which to be studied with entire submission of our own faculties, and in the perfect faith that in them there can be no too much or too little, nothing useless or inert, but that the further we praise in our discoveries, the more we shall see proof of design and self-supporting arrangement, where the careless eye has seen nothing been accident. So this is one of the beautiful, pretty praise for William Shakespeare and for his characters. De Quincey says that your work are so simple and construction is as natural phenomena like sun, sea, stars, flowers, frost, snow, rain, dew, hailstorm, thunder, as natural phenomena. And now we are proceeding to the next one slide, and we will see Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of the transcendentalist poet of America. What he says, he breathed upon dead bodies. Emerson says, he breathed upon dead bodies and brought them into life. And then what says, nor sequent centuries could hit orbit and some of Shakespeare's wit. Marvelous praise for William Shakespeare by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And then what Matthew Arnold says, so you can see, I keep saying Shakespeare, you are as obscure as life is. What he says, you are as obscure as life is. To understand William Shakespeare, his philosophy and his writing is as obscure as to understand life. You can't understand fully. So, and what other statement is, other abide our question. These are the line from Shakespeare poem written by Matthew Arnold. So what he says, other abide our question, thou art free. We ask and ask, thou smilest, and art is still out-topping knowledge. Self-scanned, self-secured, these are the lines by Matthew Arnold, yeah, great critic, one of the great Victorian critic. And now you can see T.S. Eliot. What T.S. Eliot says, so he says, we can say of Shakespeare that never has a man turned so little knowledge to such great account. What the T.S. Eliot says, so he says, we can say of Shakespeare that never has a man turned so little knowledge to such great account. So this is one of the beautiful, one of the fantastic line for William Shakespeare. And about William Shakespeare's plays like Hamlet, for Hamlet he says it was artistic failure, and for Macbeth T.S. Eliot says that this was artistic success because of objective correlative. Okay, and now you can see the next statement. What he says, Dante and Shakespeare divide the modern world, between them there is no third one. This is more for William Shakespeare, but I would like to say that this is not much or more, this is only a little bit for Shakespeare. So you can see Dante and Shakespeare divide the modern world, between them there is no third one. And now we are proceeding to see the next one slide. This is D.H. Lawrence. What D.H. Lawrence says about William Shakespeare, one of the modern novelists, D.H. Lawrence, who has explored sexuality in his work. In his work, you can say primitivism and the other concept you can also find, and he was the priest and he always represents sexual reality, and Oedipus complex has been the subject of his work like Sons and Lovers. So D.H. Lawrence says, when I read Shakespeare, I am struck with wonder that such trivial people should muse and thunder in such lovely language. He says, when I read Shakespeare, I am struck with wonder. I am struck with wonder that such trivial people should muse and thunder in such lovely language. This is the statement by David Herbert Lawrence, D.H. Lawrence, the writer of Sons and Lovers, Ranvo, Women in Love, Lady Chatterley's Lover, Kangaroo and all. So now we are proceeding to see the next one statement. This is Shakespeare has no heroes but only heroines. Who is he? He is John Ruskin. He says Shakespeare has only heroines, not any heroes. And now we are proceeding to see the next one, and he is Robert Greene. He has given a remarkable statement for William Shakespeare. And what is this remarkable statement? So you can see the remarkable thing about William Shakespeare is that he is really very good. What he says that it is very remarkable thing for William Shakespeare that he is not only good, he is really very good. And in spite of all the people who say he is very good, the people, some people says that William Shakespeare is very good. No, he is really very good. Who says? Robert Greene says. And now we are proceeding to see the next slide, and Thomas Carlyle. What Thomas Carlyle says about William Shakespeare. So now you can see, if I say Shakespeare is the greatest of intellects, अगर मैं ये कहूँ कि विलियम शेक्सपियर ग्रेटेस्ट थे उन इंटेलेक्चुअल्स में, I have said all concerning him. So मैंने कोई बड़ी बात नहीं कही, मैंने वही कहा जो रियल में है विलियम शेक्सपियर के बारे में. If I say that Shakespeare is the greatest of intellects, I have said all concerning him. मैंने वही बात कही जो रियली उनसे कंसर्न करती है. But there is more in Shakespeare's intellect than we have yet seen. We have only touched a little bit William Shakespeare, not whole. Whatever we have understand through his work, through his writing, through his words, through his character, this is only a little bit, and the remaining we have no capacity to observe. And then you can say Shakespeare's intellect than we have yet seen. It is what I call an unconscious intellect. There is more virtue in that he himself is aware of. This is one of the, I would say, hilarious statement for William Shakespeare. And now you can say William Hazlitt, what Hazlitt says, one of the romantic critics. So you can say, if we wish to know the force of human genius, and if we want to see the force of human genius, what is the real power of human genius? If we want to see, we should read Shakespeare. So we should read Shakespeare, his work, his writing, his character, his analysis. We must read Shakespeare. If we wish to see the insignificance of human learning, we may study his commentators. And if we want to know what is the significance of a particular personality, then we must study his commentators. And who are his commentators? Like Thomas Carlyle, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Thomas Rhymer, Coleridge, whatever, and T.S. Eliot, every famous personality. And now we are going to see what Elizabeth Barrett Browning says, the wife of Robert Browning and great personality of Victorian era. So what she says, and there Shakespeare on whose forehead climb the crowns is the word, oh wide sublime, with tears and laughter for all time. Yeah, great lines. So Elizabeth Barrett Browning says there is Shakespeare on whose forehead climb the crowns of the word. Yes, crowns of the word. Oh yes, eyes sublime with tears and laughter of all time. This is marvelous praise for William Shakespeare. And now we are proceeding to see the other great personality from Puritan era, and he was absolutely John Milton, a writer of epic Paradise Lost, Paradise Regained, and he has also written a number of work like Areopagitica and all. So what he says, so he has written a poem on Shakespeare. This is one of the important poem. Shakespeare poem has been written by Matthew Arnold, and on Shakespeare has been written by John Milton. And what John Milton says, or sweetest Shakespeare, fancy child, or sweetest Shakespeare, fancy child, rabble his native wood notes wild. What needs my Shakespeare for his honored bones? The lover of an age is piled stones, or that his hollows relics should be hid under a steady pointing pyramid. Dear son of memory, gateway of fame, what needst thou such weak witness of thy name? And so is pictured in such pomp dost lie, that kings for such a tomb would wish to die. So these are the line for William Shakespeare by John Milton. And now we are proceeding to see other comments. So Thomas More says, and one wild Shakespeare following nature's light, as worth whose planets filled with stars rights. So this is one more comment for William Shakespeare. And now you can say what Thomas Rhymer says. Thomas Rhymer, who has given concept of what? Please write down it on comment box. I will reply you on comment box. So dear friends, Thomas Rhymer, the moral sure of this fable is very instructive. He is not praising, he is somewhere warning us about Othello. He says the moral sure of this fable. What is the moral of this fable? I am sure, I know very well. What will you want to say to us? So he says the moral sure of this fable, Othello is very instructive. First moral, what first William want to teach us? First he want to teach us this may be a caution to all maidens of quality, how without their parents' consent they run away with black moors. What he says, moors, Thomas Rhymer, what Thomas Rhymer says? So he says this is a kind of warning for all maiden women who fled with their lovers without their parents advice, without their parents permission. So this is a kind of caution for all those maidens, faithful maidens. And secondly, what is this tale or fable about? So what he says, secondly, this may be a warning to all good wives. This is warning for all those good wives, that they look well to their linen, that they must be aware about their linen. And what is this linen? So dear friends, this is a handkerchief that was still stolen by, in Othello. So thirdly, what is thirdly warning? So this is second warning, and this was the first one, and then third one say, this may be a lesson to husbands. This is also a lesson to those husbands that before their jealous be tragical, the proofs may be mathematical. And this is also a lesson to those who are suspecting on their wives, on their beloveds, on their you can say half part. So dear friends, this is a warning to all those wives and husbands. Rhymer's notorious attack on Othello ultimately did Shakespeare's reputation more good. और दोस्तों, जब थॉमस राइमर ने ये अटैक ओथेलो को लेकर के उन्होंने किया, so this criticism make him more special, more famous. The critics like John Dryden, John Dennis and others started writing over William Shakespeare, and they have written about him so lofty that you can't imagine. And now we are proceeding to the next one. What the other critic like Horace Walpole, one of the prominent figure in Gothic fiction. So what he says, one of the greatest geniuses that ever existed. Shakespeare undoubtedly wanted taste. Yeah, undoubtedly he wanted to test every drop of life. He wanted to test every single drop of life. So Horace Walpole says that he was one of the greatest geniuses ever existed on earth. And what William Wordsworth says, he says, scorn not the sonnet critic you have frowned, mindless of its just honors. With this key Shakespeare unlocked his heart. This is the device, scorn not sonnet. This is one of the important work by William Wordsworth for Shakespeare's sonnet. And what he says, do not scorn with that sonnet. And this is the form where Willie has opened his heart, unlocked his heart. And now you can say, see what Harold Bloom says. So he says Shakespeare is the canon. He sets the standard and the limits of literature. One of the important point. So Harold Bloom says of Shakespeare is the canon. He sets the standard and limits of literature. Very, very, very much important, dear friends. And now we are at the end of this lesson. So dear friends, प्लीज आप जरूर बताएं कि आपको आज की क्लास कैसी लगी. So please write down your feedback on comment box, and I will be with you till your exam and for next exam too, dear friends. So who is ready to appear on upcoming June 2020 exam, please write your name on comment box or message me on my number 9125090515. So dear friends, कैसी लगी, जो भी आपको जैसी भी क्लास लगी हो प्लीज़ आप रिप्लाई ज़रूर कीजिएगा. मुझे दोस्तों वेट करूँगा मैं आपके कमेंट्स का, और मैं ज़रूर वहाँ पर दोस्तों आंसर करूँगा. सो थैंक यू ऑल, हैव अ गुड डे.